It's time for another type along, and you want to start by going to my website and copying and pasting the starter code, which is takeout.java, and we're going to pick up where we left off. So the last two type alongs were for layouts, an assignment called forlayouts.java, where we focused on the layouts, and then mini components, where we were focusing on the types of components you could use. This time we're going to use both layouts and components, but we're going to focus on the data that we're going to be making use of and sharing information from one part of the program, from one panel to another panel. So when you're done, it's going to look like this. Run it. It'll look like this. So there are two panels. This is the kind of primary panel to start out with, and it's a little menu program that we have. And we're going to choose, let's see, I'm feeling hungry. I want some stuffed mushrooms, some chicken dumplings, grilled eggplant, and stir fry, and I want like some coffee and some soda. And you might notice that as I'm checking those things, I get some X's here as I choose them. And I can also unchoose them. So grilled eggplant, maybe I don't want that, so I'll click it again. Maybe just the soda is good, so I'm going to click on coffee again. And so we'll choose some things from the menu. There are 11 items to choose from. Then we'll go to the checkout, and we'll notice that we get, again, the X's next to what we've chosen. And then if you add these numbers together, you get the subtotal. There's a tax of 9%. You add them together, you get a total. 20% of the subtotal is going to be our suggested tip. And you know what? Those chicken wings look good. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to choose the chicken wings to add to that. Go to the checkout, and now the subtotal is a little higher since I chose the chicken wings. And I can go back as many times as I want and check or uncheck things and go back to the checkout, and it'll reflect those changes. And what we'll focus on here is the fact that these numbers, this information about totals and things, that's being stored elsewhere. It's not really in any panel. It's being shared between them. And I want to show you how you can do that. So let's close that, and let's go to our starter code. And so when you compile and run the starter code, this is what you're going to see. So all the paneling is set up. You can go back and forth between the two menus. We talked about that in for layouts, how to do that with a card layout. But all the information is not, I can check these boxes. I can actually click on these buttons. I can choose these tiny little menu items, but I'm not getting any information out of it. So let's take a look at the code. So if we go up to the top, we've got all of the imports that we need in order to run what we need. We've got the primary frame, and we're going to fill out with the order panel. So the order panel is the one that has the card layout. And there are two cards that we have to look at. The one where we're going to be making the order, making our choices with the buttons and the check boxes and the J menu items. And so that's get input with components. And then where we see the results, that's the final result panel. So those are the two cards that we have. And you'll notice that we're keeping our data in a class called order data, and we're passing that in as we go so that we can use the object-oriented features of Java, and we can get aliases out of that order. And so if we change it in one class, in one JPanel, the changes will be reflected in other panels. That's the whole idea. So we've got this order, and we're actually going to use the order. We've got get menu item, and we're actually going to use a get menu item method from the order instance in the order data to put the names in for the checkboxes. So let's go down to that order data class, which is all the way down at the bottom. And you'll see that the order data has all the pertinent information. It's got a tax rate. It has a price array where we could change the prices if we wanted to. It has names for the items, and these things match up. So the chicken wings are $9.23. The stuffed mushrooms are going to be $11.34, etc. And then we also have a choice array, which there'll be true or false values, whether we want to choose that menu item in our final result. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the menu item. We want to get the name. So we're going to say return the name at the index, right? Because we're going to pass the index. These index values will be values from 0 to 10, and that's because these are 11 elements. So we'll return the index. So that's the only thing that we've changed. And let's see what happens if we make that change. So we recompile, we rerun, and now we have these names that are showing up. That's nice. So grilled eggplant, pasta primavera, tea, soda, etc. Now we're not getting any reaction here on this panel over here, but at least those are showing up. And that's true because up at the top, we were getting, right, we're using get menu item to fill all of these values. So now we get the valid names for the appetizers, right? We have an appetizer panel, and so we fill that with appetizers. We've got a main course panel, so we fill that with the main courses. And then we also have a drinks panel, and we fill that just with the north with the menu items. But again, we fill those in. Okay, that's good. Now, if we look at order in other places, we're also going to react to the order with the checkboxes and the buttons and the menu items, and we're either going to choose one or not. So we're going to set our Boolean array either to true or false. So it looks like there's a set choice method that will set at a particular index, it'll set it to true or false. And then there's also going to be a toggle choice, which will just turn it from true to false or false to true. So we need to change the set choice and toggle choice. So let's go back and fix those two. Those are down here. And so we're going to use the array that is built in. It's the choice array. And so we'll say choice array at the index is equal to whatever the Boolean value is that's passed in, so on or off. That's to set the choice. And then to toggle the choice, we either want to change true to false or false to true. So we can say choice array at index equals the opposite of what it was. So if it was true, it'll change it to false. If it was false, it'll change it to true. So we just added these two lines to react to the checking of those values. So let's make sure that that compiles and runs. Okay, now we're not actually going to see that working here, but it is, and we need to react to those changes. We're not seeing it in the second panel. So let me show you how we can get that to show up. So what we want to do is we want to get the item price and name, and we're going to use the item price and name in this working results panel. That's the fourth panel that you see on the first card. And so we want a dollar amount and then also the name. So we want to return the $sign plus the price array value. So the price array at index, and then maybe a couple spaces, so plus a couple spaces, and then whatever the name is, so the name at the index. And that will have it show up in that result panel. So let's take a look, recompile, rerun, and now these are showing up. Now we won't get the X's to check yet because we need to do something else. But then if we go to the checkout, at least we get the names showing up. Again, we don't see the X's, we don't get the totals working quite yet, but at least we're getting the titles there. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we actually want to respond to the choice that the user is making with get choice, and that is also going to be used in this working results panel. When it's updated, it'll either be an X or a space. So get choice, if they've chosen it, we want to show an X. If not, we want to show a space. So all we're going to do with get choice is just return whatever the value of the choice array is. So we're going to return the choice array at the index. And that'll cause either an X to show up if it's true, or just a space if it's not true, a blank space. So let's try that. Okay, so I'm going to press chicken wings, and notice that I now have an X next to chicken wings. And if I go to the checkout, that has been checked because it's responding to that. If I check on chicken dumplings and stir fry, those get checked here, and then also in the copy there. Go back. If I want grilled eggplant and maybe some soda, those are now chosen as well. Go back. Those are all chosen. Let's uncheck maybe the chicken dumplings. Maybe I'm asking for too much. And I don't want the grilled eggplant. I don't want soda. I want tea instead. And so that is reflected here. Now, nothing yet as far as the totals are concerned, but I'm getting somewhere. And that's because, again, I'm passing this data. I'm using the object-oriented nature of the Java programming language. And this order value I'm passing, you'll see it appears in lots of different places because I'm passing it from class to class. And I'm using aliases. The names are all the same. It's order, order, order. And so if I change it in one panel, it's being changed somewhere else. And so I can see those changes being reflected. Okay, just a couple more things to get. We need the subtotal. So the subtotal is going to be the addition of all these numbers that have been chosen. So we say if they chose it, so if choice array at the I value is true, then you're going to add to the subtotal from the price array. So you would just say subtotal plus equals price array at I. And then once you have the subtotal, so that should return the subtotal. It should add the things that we have. And then we should just be able to multiply that subtotal by the tax. Now, the tax rate is constant, but we could maybe decide to fix it later if the tax rate goes up or down. But we can now just say, well, just call the subtotal method. So we'll just say get subtotal. And then we'll just multiply that by the constant that is the tax rate. So we've got that. And then finally for the total, well, we'll just add these two methods, right? Get subtotal and get tax. We'll add them together. So we've got get subtotal plus get tax. Try that. So we've added those three methods, right? Get subtotal, get tax, and get total. And let's see the result. We'll try maybe something that's real easy to start out with. So we might just have one item. How about we choose the chicken wings? So choose the chicken wings and then go to checkout. And so chicken wings are chosen. We've got $9.23. That looks about like it's about 9%. And then we have the total, which is $10. If we add those together, we're going to get $10.06. And then if we take the subtotal and the tax is at 20%, and so we get 9. Let's see, it looks like we're adding those together, and so that's going to be at 20%. So it makes some sense. Let's go back and let's do the jumbo shrimp and grilled eggplant and coffee and tea. I'm really thirsty, so we're going to get them all. And now we've got a higher price. Tax again is at 7%. Add them together to get the subtotal. We've got a suggested tip, which is again 20%. I can go back and I can change it. Maybe if I choose nothing, maybe my friend's going to get some food. I'm not. So we'll unchoose all of these. And so now we do get 0. Let's go back and maybe just change one of each. And just to make some sense. Okay, before we finish, let me just go back and talk again about how this order data instance, which is called order, it's being passed in. You'll notice there are a couple other things that I have to pass in order to get to the list of cards and be able to use my card layout. So you might take note of that. But I want to focus again on the fact that we're passing that data from one panel to the next, and we're changing it as we go. So you want to use this, particularly for your next programming assignment, because this is our third type along in a row, and you're going to be ready to do some of your own coding, and I'll get that up in the next day or two. But notice how, again, we're passing that order, which is an instance of the order data, in so that it can be changed and used throughout, and all the data is nicely stored in just one little class. All right. Oh, and the tip, again, it's going to be 20% of the total. I think I said it was of the subtotal, but it's 20% of the total is the suggested tip. All right. I think that about covers it. So you want to make sure that your end result looks like this, right? So have these same values. We didn't change any of the numerical values, and anything you click or unclick should respond. Go to checkout, and it should show up there. And we were just working with the order data class. All right. Thank you, and happy coding.